Listen, I am so sick and tired of this minivans are not cool propaganda. Because let me tell you, as somebody who has learned not to give a about what people think about me, it is the most freeing feeling in the world. So if you have a family and your current vehicle is just bursting at the seams trying to accommodate them and you're feeling very overwhelmed, let me try to convince you, please consider a minivan. Stop giving a about what your neighbors and friends think about it, because a minivan will change your life.
For more expert car reviews, don't forget to share our channel and subscribe so you can catch some of this and maybe even a little of that.
I'm so sorry about all the swearing. I just really love minivans. And the Toyota Sienna is honestly one of the best ones you can buy out there. And there's not that many left, but the Sienna is the only one that you can get that's a hybrid and has all-wheel drive. I love that, and we'll get more to that later, but it makes the Sienna very unique. The thing I love the most about the Sienna, however, is that it is built with family friendliness, practicality, and functionality at the very forefront. And any busy family will tell you how important those things are in a family hauler like this. First of all, power sliding doors. Genius. I love this feature because your clumsy kids are never going to ding someone's doors ever again. And that alone makes it worth it. But it also gives them a lot more independence because they're power sliding doors. They can open them by the touch of a button. You can open them from up here using your key fob. There's also kick sensors on the door and on the trunk, which comes in really useful when your hands are full. Full disclosure, I haven't been able to get them work today because it is so cold out that the car washes aren't working, and I think the sensors are just too caked over with salt and road grime. But I'm gonna give Toyota the benefit of the doubt because I've used it before in other Siennas and it worked just fine, and I think it's a fantastic feature to have. The other thing I really love is that, you know, in three-row SUVs, there's not a lot of cargo room in the back when the third row is in use. This Sienna doesn't have that problem. So even if the third row is in use, there's over 900 liters of room in that really deep trunk well. It's enough that I was able to hop in there and completely disappear. That's just an amazing feature. It makes it so much more practical. You know, the fact that there's a low load height also makes it easy because it helps save your back, makes things a lot easier to load and unload. And then when you fold those seats into that hole, that sounds really weird. Let me try that again. When you want to tumble that third row into that well, you can do it with one hand. It is so easy and it's actually so satisfying, and it opens up a massive over 2,000 liters worth of space. It's incredible. And then if you need even more space, you can slide and kind of tumble the second row forward, and that opens up over 2,800 liters worth of room. I'm going to help a very good friend of mine move this weekend. You might know him.
So much room for
We're going to
activities.
move his queen size bed and his dresser in here, and I don't think the Sienna is going to have any problem holding any of that. It'll gobble that up, no problem. As the kids say, the Sienna ate and left no crumbs. And it gets even better. There are huge grab handles back there that really help people get in and out more comfortably and safer. And then there are little storage cubbies and shelves all over the place. And there's like 18 cup holders in here. I don't know why a family would need that many cup holders, but I think it's really important that kids have little places to stash all their stuff. I love that. It is so practical. There's so much room for storage in here, and I think that is one of the things that makes this Sienna so fantastic. Now, driving this Sienna on the road, I really wanted to mention that it is a big, chunky vehicle, but it doesn't feel like a bus to drive around. I actually find it very easy to maneuver and park, even in tight areas. But I love the visibility. No one talks about visibility, but this is one of the things I think that is most important in terms of comfort and safety. this Sienna has massive windows and amazing visibility. And part of that has to do with the fact that you have a very high, kind of SUV-like seating position, so you can look over other vehicles on the road. And I love that. But at the same time, you don't have to jump into the car and jump out. It's very easy to get in and out of. So even people with mobility issues shouldn't find it too difficult. So going back to what I said earlier about the Toyota being the only hybrid all-wheel drive minivan out there, I have spoken before about how much I love Toyota's hybrid system, and I'm going to tell you again. So this system is an electric all-wheel drive system. The rear wheels are powered by an electric motor. So predominantly, it only drives the front wheels unless slippage is detected or more traction is needed, or you need a stronger start. And then the rear motor will fire up and you'll get all-wheel drive. So this system is a part-time all-wheel drive system, but this also has really good winter tires on it. And listen, I drove this thing after we had record snowfalls, and it felt very sure-footed. I was able to get over snow and snowbanks that I don't think front-wheel drive vehicles could have done. So I felt very confident driving this in the snowstorm. And the fact that it's a part-time system didn't really bother me that much. And I really like this electronic all-wheel drive system because it gives you all-wheel drive without too much penalty on your fuel economy. So officially, this all-wheel drive Sienna is rated to get 6.8 liters per 100 kilometers, and the front-wheel drive version is rated at 6.6. So really, having all-wheel drive doesn't have a huge impact on your fuel economy, and I love to see that. I will say, though, that I have not been able to get close to that advertised fuel economy rating, mostly because A, it's a Canadian winter, we're on winter tires, we're in the middle of a polar vortex, and again, we had record-setting snowfall. So nothing is going to be that efficient under these conditions, but I fully believe that if the conditions were better, this Toyota would get that efficiency rating with no problem at all. We all know Toyota's hybrid systems are efficient. And even with all of those factors in play, I've been getting about like 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So for a vehicle this big and that carries this many people, I still think that's pretty good. This Sienna puts out 245 horsepower, and it's not fast, but it gives you decent passing power and enough power to get up to speed with pretty much no drama. Of course, when you put your foot into it, it is very noisy, and at highway speeds you hear a lot of wind noise, but it's not enough to be a deal breaker for me. This XSE version also comes with a more sport-tuned suspension, but like as you can see, it's kind of crashy over broken roads, and it has bigger wheels. And it makes it a slightly more uncomfortable, so I would prefer maybe a softer, more comfortable setup in a minivan. But in general, I think the driving dynamics are really good. So we are driving the XSE all-wheel drive trim, and that's the second from the top, but even base Siennas come really well stocked with a lot of essential standard features, stuff like wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay standard. You get a wireless phone charger, and there's also a really great rear seat reminder that comes standard on every single trim of the Sienna. So it uses radar to check if you've left someone in the back, and we all know how disastrous that can be, but it goes beyond just giving you visual cues and reminders, and it will slowly escalate how serious those notifications are, eventually ending in calling the authorities if no action is taken. And I love to see that kind of stuff, especially in family vehicles like this, because when it's a real emergency, that's the kind of feature that will literally help save lives. So good on Toyota for including that standard across the lineup. Now, in terms of infotainment and user-friendliness, also an A+. I love that there's a lot of physical buttons and toggles in here. It makes it very user-friendly. Everything is labeled really well, so there's no guessing what any of the buttons mean. Even having this old school gear selector makes it user-friendly because everyone knows how to use this. Anyone can just jump in here and almost immediately know where everything is and how everything works. And when you're a busy parent, not having to think about that stuff is amazing because it makes your life so much easier. I really love that, standard heated seats and heated steering wheels are included. And I love this system because when you turn it on, it stays on, even the next time you get in the car. And again, one less thing to think about, and I think parents will be super appreciative of that. This infotainment system is also quite good. It's a little bit dated in comparison to everything else that's out there, but Toyota finally added this really nice tray of shortcuts that helps make it more user-friendly and easier to navigate. I would love to see a back button and a home button to make it even better, but without those things, I find it very easy to use here, especially with how many physical buttons they have. This trim also comes with an onboard entertainment system, and any parents who have ever gone on a long road trip will absolutely love this because you can hook up something via an HDMI cable. There's also an electrical outlet out there, so you can plug in something like a game console or a DVD player and use the wireless headphones. That means your road trip is going to be so silent and there's going to be none "Are we there yet?" and that kind of stuff is honestly priceless for families, so I love to see it. And now we have to get to some of the downsides of the Toyota Sienna. I have a lot of great things to say about it, but I gotta say the pricing can get a little bit uncomfortable. So the base Sienna starts at under 50 grand, which is great. This XSE model, which is second from the top, ends up being about $63,000 with a couple options added in, which is a little bit out of reach, I think, for a lot of families out there. And then there's the top trim one, which easily pushes past $70,000. Now that is a lot of money to spend on a minivan, but if it's pure practicality you're after, I think it might be worth every penny. But then you have the problem of the long wait list. So the demand for the Toyota Sienna is very high. And I've heard that there are huge waiting lists, maybe about 2 years to get your hands on one. So if you want to buy one, I suggest putting your name down for one now and being really patient. And so with those two things combined, might put a little bit of a damper on how easily I can recommend the Sienna for families, but it's honestly still so good that I wouldn't mind that long wait. To recap, I love the Toyota Sienna's unbeatable practicality, efficient powertrain, and how user-friendly it is. I'm not a big fan of how it can get so expensive or the long wait lists. If I haven't yet convinced you that a minivan will change your life and that you shouldn't care whether or not it's cool, you know who drives a minivan and absolutely loves it? Sung Kang, aka Han from Fast and Furious. He's a real car guy. His car collection is amazing, and yet he's been on the record before as saying that his Toyota Sienna is literally his favorite car of all time. And Toyota is not paying him to say that. So if he can do it, you can do it too. And if you need a practical family hauler that will make life so much easier for your family, the Toyota Sienna is really tough to beat. And once you discover the joys of not giving a you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner.